to The Fade. I am Clay Travis. I may never win another bet after what happened to me in college football this past weekend. A disaster. Not the likes of which, kind of the equivalent of Penn State's coaching search, frankly. She is Kelly Stewart, a.k.a. at Kelly in Vegas. We will dive into the college football world and the NFL world shortly. Did you have a good Thanksgiving, Kelly?
I did. Thanksgiving's really hard to screw up. Usually the only time I'm having a bad day is if I have a bad betting day, all the dogs win. That should tell you how my Thanksgiving went.
All right, let's start with college football because obviously the playoff rankings have come out. We're into conference championship week. Do you have any of the small school, no insult intended, conference championship matchups? Do you love any of those? Do you have any strong take there?
I wish I did. And it's unfortunate because I should know more about these small schools because they play plenty of the Power Four conferences early in the year. But as the time starts to dwindle down, you pay attention less and less. And since I left Las Vegas, I don't pay attention to the Mountain West very much. But I find it really intriguing here out there in Boise State, home field advantage, right? Just a small favorite looking for revenge against the Rebels. 7 consecutive wins for this team. I think they might surprise people and upset Boise State. I can confirm that there was sharp money on Tulane early in the week, but that's really about it. I mean, by all means, James Madison should absolutely throttle Troy. That gets them a ticket to the college football playoff by all intents and purposes. And I would be lying to you, Clay, if I said that I knew a single player on Kennesaw or Jacksonville State.
All right, let's go into the big games now. I do not have any read. I've not watched those teams play a lot of games. I watch all of the SEC, Big Ten, Big 12, and ACC action that I can. I'm going to go all in on Georgia. I love Georgia to win this game. Now, Georgia never beats Alabama. I have gone all in on Georgia a lot. The only team that Kirby Smart can't get over the hump against has been Alabama. I was at this game in Athens. I watched in person a game that I thought Georgia gave away, particularly in the second half. They took control of it. They couldn't post enough points. They got stopped on fourth down. They missed a wide open touchdown pass in the second half that would have given them the lead. I think Georgia gets it done in Atlanta. And that's no shot against Alabama. I also think Alabama, the Iron Bowl, took a lot out of them. Ty Simpson took some big hits during the course of that game. I think he's had a very good year. I think Alabama should be in the playoff even with a loss. But I am taking Georgia to get the win. What about you?
I don't think there's any line value here, Clay, and that's the problem. I have Georgia 10-1 to win the national championship. I am very high on this team. I think it should be closer to a coin flip. Everything you just said last week, plus that loss to Oklahoma, that loss to Florida State. Alabama needs this game more than Georgia. Alabama has won 10 of the last 11. They've defeated the Bulldogs for the SEC title 2012, 2018, 2021, and 2023. Good grief. You would think that Georgia could get one of those wins. And you would think they have some familiarity because they play in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium all the time. It's kind of tough. I'm not high on this Alabama team. Do I think they deserve to be in the SEC championship game? Yes. Do I think they deserve to be in the college football playoff? Yes. But this is kind of one of those games of who needs it more. And we're going to talk about that throughout these conference championship games, particularly in regards to this one in the Big Ten. I think this is a down year for Alabama. I think you are right. I think this is a good chance for Kirby Smart, to get that monkey off his back and get a win over Alabama.
Okay, IU, Ohio State. The game really doesn't matter. I think both these teams are going to get a bye. It makes me feel a little bit like it's going to be a shadow boxing game. The Heisman Trophy, however, for Julian Say and Fernando Mendoza does matter quite a lot. Maybe they want to be the overall number one seed, which the winner will, and obviously you get a Big Ten title. I'm going to take Indiana plus the points against Ohio State. What about you?
Blame you. The whole world wants to do that. And who doesn't want to bet on Kirk Cignetti as an underdog? He's been awesome. Here's the thing. Ryan Day doesn't have a Big Ten championship. And when I found that out, I thought, okay, maybe this does mean just a little bit more to the Buckeyes than I thought, right? Buckeyes handled business last week. They beat Michigan, their big time rival, which has not been easy for them as of late, but they haven't played in a Big Ten title game since 2020. So something to keep in mind there while they were focusing on the Wolverines, maybe the Big Ten title game was kind of overshadowed. On the other side, Kirk Cignetti has had his eye on this one for a long time. Last week, they just get a beat up on lowly Purdue. Mendoza barely even saw the second half because it didn't matter. And why would you want to get your starting quarterback hurt? Yeah, one could argue because he needs to win the Heisman Trophy. I don't think Kirk Cignetti cares. I will say this: historically, over the last 8 seasons, the favorite 8-0 straight up, 6-2 against the spread. Now, those are 4 Ohio State teams, 3 Michigan, and then, of course, Oregon from last year. I understand why anybody likes Indiana here. Indiana has not beaten, and in fact, it was before this because they tied in 1990. So it's been all the Buckeyes, and the Buckeyes have gotten the money all season long, 10-1-1 against the spread, Clay. I'd like to say they don't care about a Big Ten championship, but then realizing that Ryan Day doesn't have one, you might see him motivated here. I think Ohio State money line is probably the play. I could see this ending in a field goal.
Okay. The Big 12 well. BYU, Texas Tech. I'm going to take Texas Tech. I'm a little bit nervous about this one, but they've been absolutely crushing everyone. They already handled BYU comfortably earlier in the season. Now, that game was obviously in Lubbock. The number's big, though, out to 12.5. It's basically stuck there. What do you see?
Yeah, I mean, they won 29-7 about a month ago as a 13.5-point home favorite. BYU didn't score until midway of the fourth quarter, right? Texas Tech was up 26-0 in that game. They made BYU look like they didn't even deserve to be there. But since then, BYU 6-1 straight up and against the spread. They've been playing significantly better. Now, this is a tough one for me. I have 12-1 for Texas Tech way back in early July to win the Big 12. I thought this number is ridiculous. I bet them at 100-1 to win the national championship. It's crazy. This team has kind of, utilized their NIL money very, very well in the last year. So if you have to take it, I'm going to take BYU plus the points here. It means so much more to BYU. I think Texas Tech is going to get in regardless if they win this game or not. I think BYU is going to put up much more of a fight. Kalani Sitake is not going to go to Penn State, and I think he wants to get in the college football playoff. And the only way you're getting in the college football playoff is if you win this game. So I'm not going to call it a hedge, but I'm going to look for a middle opportunity. Maybe I can get a 13.5 here with BYU come kick.
I'm going to take Duke UVA, the over 57.5. How about you?
About this total, Clay, because I don't know enough about Duke and their turnover problems to make it worth wanting to bet the total. Duke is a top 25 team in both giveaways and takeaways. Last week, they beat Wake Forest, 4 turnovers in their favor. If the turnovers lead to scores, well, that's going to bode really well for you. And if they don't, then it's not going to bode very well for you. I don't know what to make of this Virginia team. They've kind of come out of nowhere this year, beating Florida State on that Friday night, and then going back and beating Duke in a very dominant win on November 15th. So I think a lot of people are going to want to lay the points here with Virginia. But I think if Duke does not turn the ball over, does get a couple of balls to go their direction, this is going to be a very close game. I think Duke has the opportunity to win it and keep the ACC out of the college football playoff.
All right. I'm going to take the over in that game. I think I mentioned it already. All right, let's go to the NFL. Thursday night game. Cowboys-Lions. Going to get a lot of attention, Kelly. I'm taking the over 54.5. The Cowboy offense has been firing. Look, I love what George Pickens, CeeDee Lamb have been able to do with Dak. We know the Lions have had issues on the defensive side of the ball for some time. Tough loss for them against the Packers. They've had time to get right. Cowboys obviously got the big win over the Chiefs. I'm taking the over. I expect it to be a really fun Thursday night game. I know a lot of times the unders hit, but what would you say?
So this is interesting because I think this is a very good argument to say, hey, this is a buy low spot on the Lions. Lions don't lose back-to-back games, right? I don't know. 1-8 in their last 9 games. after on Thanksgiving after playing the Packers. It is not good. They don't bounce back well in these situations. And you mentioned Dallas has been playing significantly better since they beat up on the Raiders, and that's because their defense is coming to play. You mentioned CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. I would probably argue they're two of the best wide receivers in the NFL. And I don't know what to make of Dan Campbell. Are we seeing regression not in his favor on some of these crazy play calls? Possibly. Maybe Ben Johnson hurting a little bit more with him going to Chicago than maybe we realize for this offense. Only way I can look here is probably going to be the square dog in Dallas. I don't blame you for liking the over at all.
No doubt. All right. Dolphins, Jets. It's an ugly game. I am going to take the Dolphins against the Jets. Dolphins have been playing better. Titans, Browns. Another ugly game. I'm going to take the Browns. Bengals, Bills. I'm on the over. I think this one will be somewhat fun. What do you like in the NFL? I just gave you a bunch of my picks.
Yeah, you just gave out the most disgusting picks on the board, and I have no idea why. So I'm going to give out my most disgusting pick first. Saints plus 8.5. I know Tampa's won 6 of the last 7, including 23-3. They're back in New Orleans in October. But I do think that this is a Bucs team that is kind of going in a downward direction. They failed to cover their last 4 games. They got lucky to beat the Cardinals last week. Obviously, injuries there with the offense, defense not playing as good. This is the biggest point spread Tampa Bay's been all season long. I just don't understand this number whatsoever. I think the whole world's going to want to tease Tampa. I think it's Saints or pass for me here. And then I'm going to take the Texans against Kansas City Chiefs. If you guys know, I've been betting against the Chiefs all season long. I have under 11.5 wins. I have no playoff. And I'm going to just keep betting against this team when the power ratings say otherwise. I don't think we've adjusted enough on this team. Plus, guess what? Their entire offensive line is banged up. Josh Simmons, Juwan Taylor, Trey Smith, they all got hurt last week versus the Cowboys. Clay and I are filming on Wednesday, and as of 4 p.m.-ish Eastern, they're all 3 doubtful to return. That is not good news for Patrick Mahomes and this offense, especially against one of the best defensive lines in the league. CJ Stroud has been playing better. You know, typically when quarterbacks get hurt, concussions, things of so forth, and they take a 3-week break, it's not good. But Davis Mills held down the fort for this offense. Last week, we saw him throw for 276 yards against the Colts. Nico Collins and him are back connected. I like the Texans plus 3.5. And then Clay, last week, Chargers was my best bet. So why would I make the Denver Broncos my best bet and just keep betting against the Raiders once again? I'm not usually a chalk-eating weasel, and I have been quick to point out all of Bo Nix and the Broncos' flaws this season. But they don't need to score a ton of points here in essentially a second home game. Allegiant Stadium is going to be absolutely filled with Denver Broncos fans come Sunday. Raiders fans have been selling their tickets since they lost to the Bears. Geno Smith, last time these two met, got sacked 6 times, and the offensive line has only gotten worse. Their best left tackle on IR with an ankle injury. The receiving corps is already thin. Deontay Thornton Jr. got a concussion last week. Things cannot get any worse for the Raiders, and I'm going to keep betting against them until, well, I lose.
What else stands out for you? I've got the Rams. I think they're going to blow out the Cardinals. I know they played very poorly and were surprised, I thought, with the fight that the Panthers put up and getting that win. What else stands out to you on this slate?
You know, there's not a lot. I can tell you what sharp action came in. I just did a show with a prominent bookmaker. He said that the Dolphins, the Falcons, the Chargers, and the Commanders are going to be their 4 biggest needs of the weekend. Those are a lot of ugly teams, or, you know, hurt teams, if you will. Possibly no Justin Herbert there for the Chargers. Probably going to be a Trey Lance, at least starting the game. Philadelphia's got some inherent issues. Not sure they should be a road favorite here, whether Trey Lance is the starter or not. I don't disagree with you on the Rams here, Clay. It makes sense. The Rams should bounce back after that awful performance. They still are the highest power rated team in the NFC. So look for them to do so against a divisional opponent. And that's really about it for me. I want to look at Baltimore, but I can't trust this offense. I think Lamar Jackson is really hurt, and they're not telling us. I think they probably rushed him back out there too soon. One could argue that, 15-3 against a spread as an underdog of 3 points or more is worth backing Joe Burrow and the Bengals, but they did just get a nice win on Thanksgiving night over the Baltimore Ravens. So I'm not sure I want to back Cincinnati here on the road at Buffalo. And you mentioned those other awful games that I want absolutely nothing to do with. Unfortunately, though, I think I'm going to have to take Cleveland and Survivor, and I'm already panicking.
What about I'm also on the Chiefs. I think they bounce back. Basically, the Chiefs have to win out from here. I know the Texans have been playing better. This is I thought a small number. I mean, because maybe the books are starting to recognize that the Chiefs aren't what we have seen the Chiefs be over the past several years. I've got the Chiefs minus 3.5 in this one. Are you staying away? I was against them with the Cowboys game, but basically, if you look at their schedule, they have to win the rest of the way. They have some tie-break issues with other teams that are in the mix. So if they're going to make the playoff at all, they have to win. I think back home against the Texans team that has a very good defense, but has not been consistent on the offensive side of the ball. 3.5 doesn't feel that steep to me.
Oh, it's not. I mean, you are definitely betting on a top 5 power rated team. The problem is I don't think it's adjusted yet for all of the injuries on the offensive line. I don't think we've adjusted for the setbacks that the Chiefs have faced this year. Here's the thing. I said lay 3.5 for the Chiefs against Indianapolis Colts. And guess what? They needed overtime to win by 3. That's probably what's going to happen here. If they win, you should probably bet the money line. I would not recommend laying it with the Chiefs, an offense that can't outscore anybody like they used to be able to. That precedence that has been set has you still paying a premium for them.
Outstanding stuff. All right. Anything else out there, Kelly, we need to know as we roll into conference championship weekend and the continued sprint down the stretch here of the NFL season in December?
Nope. I'm excited for Sunday to see how bad the College Football Playoff Committee screws up and everybody just proverbially loses their minds. It's going to be a great week in football, NFL included. We'll see which teams are on the outside looking into the playoffs come Monday morning.
Awesome. I'm Clay Travis. She is Kelly Stewart. This is The Fade. Last show for me here of the week. I will see you guys back on Monday. Thanks for hanging.